Reason number three, strength training helps to protect your spine. We all know how common back pain is in cheerleading, and a lot of people don't even talk about it. Between the flyers, the tumblers, and bases, they're hyperextending. They are taking way more work and putting more compression through their spine than they need to. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete Podcast, where we bring coaches, parents, and athletes expert tips and advice to help keep cheerleaders healthy, strong, and at the top of their game. Now let's go. Welcome to the Cheer Athlete. If you don't know me, I'm LT, the Cheer PT. And today we're going to dive into something that should be a staple in every cheerleader's routine, strength training. A lot of people still think that cheerleaders don't need to strength train. They're more worried about flexibility, and they worry that lifting weights is going to make them bulky. The truth is, strength training is one of the best ways to prevent injuries and to improve performance on the mat. So today I'm going to give you 5 reasons why strength training is a game changer for injury prevention, especially for cheerleaders. And I'm going to throw in some exercise recommendations for cheerleaders of all ages. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder, I do have a free webinar coming up on Thursday, February 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. If you're listening to this after that, I'm sure there's a replay out there that you can get your hands on. If you can't be there live, there will be a free replay. So sign up for the webinar and then you can get the replay in your inbox and watch it at your convenience. But show up because that gives you a chance to ask some questions as well. This webinar is all about injury prevention and strength training for cheer. If you've ever wondered how to train smarter, keep your athletes safe, this is the webinar for you. I'll drop the sign up link in the show notes, so don't miss it. All right, let's just dive in and get right into it. So reason number one that strength training is important is strength training helps to improve joint stability. One of the biggest reasons cheerleaders get injured is because they don't have enough of that joint stability. We always think about flexibility for the muscles and how long can the muscles get. And the joints need to have mobility too. They need to be able to move, but they also need to be able to hold stable. This is on top of the ligaments, which do help some with stability. This is especially important for the ankles, the hips, the knees, and the shoulders. Some exercises that you can try for the younger athletes, doing something playful. It's really important. Kids that are, under the age of, I'm going to say 12, the like 10 to 15-year-old range is a little bit gray and wavy. So yeah, we'll talk under 12 for the younger athletes, but these are great exercises for anybody. It's just the younger ones, they need to play. They don't want to be sitting in like, how many reps am I going to do today? They need to be able to play in changing position. So for the first exercise that I recommend, something playful, you can stand on one leg and toss a ball, like maybe stand and toss it in a circle so that they're having to work on that balance either direction. Can they toss a ball and shift their weight to the side? Can they throw it to each other? Can they catch it? Do some overhead, catching overhead. That's going to help train stability in the shoulders as well as through the ankles, the hips, and the knees. There's lots of ways you can play with that. You could pass a ball standing on one leg. You can pass a ball, as quietly as you can. You could be down in a falling position and want to roll it around and don't let it touch the water. Any fun games like that. For older athletes, ideally 16 or above, but you can start strength. You actually can do weight training, strength training at a younger age. It's just they're going to be more in tune to it. They're a little bit more attentive, and they're going to be paying attention more to their body mechanics when they're a little bit older. So for the older athletes, to strengthen the hips, the knees, the ankles, do things like a single leg step up. I've talked about this ad nauseum all the time. I did a lot of social media posts last week about this, and I think it was in the podcast as well. Another great exercise that is torturous fun is a rear foot elevated split squat, which is the same thing as a Bulgarian split squat. So for a step up, you're going to get a box that's about the height just below your kneecap and step up and lock up like a flyer stepping in and doing a climbing stunt. You make sure that the hip and the knee extends. You can add weight to that as that gets easy. You could do it forward or sideways, and you're going to come clean. You can if you're struggling on balance, bring the other foot up to match it. If it's easy, Bring it up and do a knee lift on the opposite side. The Bulgarian or the rear foot elevated split squat is just what it sounds like. The rear foot is elevated onto a box or a bench. You're in the gym, you can put it on the bleachers. And then a split squat is basically, split squat's going from kneeling to standing. So if you put the rear foot up, you start in standing and you try to touch your knee to the floor. Or if you're really wobbly, start down with your back shoelaces on the chair or the bench or whatever behind you, with the front ankle right underneath the knee, and then come up like a rocket ship, putting all that weight in that front leg and back down slowly. The key is to work on control with that. And that will absolutely help that joint stability through the ankles. Reason number 2 to incorporate strength training into your cheer workouts. Ideally, I've talked about this before. It shouldn't happen in practice. Maybe you spend some time, 20 minutes at the end of practice. Ideally, your kids are going to be doing strength training on their own. But we know in season that can be really a tough process. So when they get out of season, make sure they get into a good strength and conditioning program. So reason number 2, it helps absorb the impact from tumbling and from stunts. So if you think about a force that's going through the cheerleader's body when they land the tumbling or coming out of a stunt, without those strong muscles, you can't absorb that, and everything goes right straight to the joints. That can lead to back pain, ankle sprains, knee injuries. If we learn how to land with control, which is like a plyometric exercise, and just coming down softly and quietly, and that helps to train our bodies to land that and have better control and help absorb the impact. Youth kids, younger kids could try like tuck jumps and to stick the landings. They could do jumping forward, landing softly, and freezing like a statue. Have them put their pom-poms on the floor. Or if they don't use palms, have them put a cheer bag on the floor. Actually, a cheer bag would be great. Jump up and over the bag, stick and land it. Don't get their foot caught in the handle of the bag. That's a key thing. So any of those forward jumps, or even playing leapfrog, where they're having to jump over their another partner or another teammate and landing it as quietly as they can, and really crouching down to land into that squat. I love frog jumps because I think they're fun. It's easy. You incorporate everybody, and you're just trying to jump over. It helps to build their strength and their coordination up a lot. For older athletes, things like box jumps. Again, I like a height that's about kneecap height. I can't demonstrate any higher than that, and I've never been able to do that. Developing leg power, jumping something that's a little bit higher is probably okay if they have like a soft box. Just make sure they're ready for that. If they haven't jumped onto a flat Reebok step or something that's about 2 inches high and stuck the landing, they absolutely should not be jumping onto a 24-inch box. So read the room, know what your athlete is ready to do and what they have the control to do, and then progress it from there. As they can progress from a 12-inch box to an 18-inch box to a 24 or 36-inch box, their power in their legs is going to improve. The whole point on that box jump is to get as high as you can and stick the landing. So you should be landing into a nice squat position, coming from your heels right onto your feet. So you're landing square and landing with soft knees down into that squat. I don't like to jump down. I think, we can make a reason for depth jumps, which is forward jumping off. But the easiest, safest way is just a straight up box jump onto the box, stick it and land it, and step down. To accompany that, a trap bar deadlift is a great exercise. Any regular deadlift too. So trap bar deadlift, you're holding the weight to the side. There is an actual bar called a trap bar where you stand in the middle of it. It really sets you up for good because they're going to get you into your hips. But you could use dumbbells at the side, and you're going to bend down, sticking your booty back, trying to touch the wall behind you, and then coming back up just like a deadlift. Both of these are going to help build explosiveness and control through the legs. Reason number 3, strength training helps to protect your spine. We all know how common back pain is in cheerleading, and a lot of people don't even talk about it. Between the flyers, the tumblers, and bases, they're hyperextending. They are taking way more work and putting more compression through their spine than they need to. So how do you correct that? And how do you protect the spine? Well, strengthening your core is definitely important. learning how to correct that motion, pulling the sternum and the upper chest down a little bit to engage the core so that we're not arching our back. Like learning that, I think, is the very first piece of strength training. And once you can do that and you can maintain that neutral with a level pelvis and a level rib cage, then you can get into other core exercises and glute exercises and back exercises that can help. Some exercises that you can try for the younger athletes. And again, these are great for all. I love these as part of a warm up for it. So your younger athletes might do them as part of their actual strength conditioning, but your older athletes might use these as part of their warm up, or maybe they're using them as a superset between sets on their strength work. Bear crawls. Start off crawling like a baby down on knees. When you can do that safely and keep your spine level, like you've got I'm going to say a ball on your back. I was thinking another cheerleader on your back that you don't want to fall off, but a ball that's something light, put a ball on your back and make sure that stays stable. When you can do that, then you come off your knees into what I call a quadruped plank and crawl from there. That's a bear crawl. Just your knees up off the floor about an inch. You can absolutely make a case for doing bear crawls like that. Your booty's in the air and your knees are bent and you're kind of wandering that way. Both are excellent and they're going to train things a little bit differently. The bear crawl is going to be great for some shoulder stability as well. And then reversing that, crab walks, where you are more on your back with your hands pointing forward and you lift your bottom up and then walk backwards like a crab. So both of those can be fun. You can have relay races with them. You can have them going, changing direction. That's a great way to stabilize the core and the hips as well. For your older athletes, doing things like dead bugs, where you are lying on your back, keeping those ribs down, pelvis level, and moving your arms and legs, whether they're leg extended or heel tapping. Hands against a wall is a great exercise to really get some stability in through the anterior core. And then loaded carries is another excellent exercise. You can do different positions like a farmer's walk where your hands are down by your side. You could do a one side carry, which is a suitcase carry, or two for a farmer carry. You could bring it up into a rack carry, one arm or two arms. You can go into an overhead carry. And you can go into a waiter carry where you're out in front like a waiter. Again, trying to keep the shoulders out of your ears and really keep the posture cues as you do that. Those are great exercises to help build stability in the round. You could have your youth athletes have a relay race with buckets of water, buckets of sand, or I have a plate of rocks underneath my desk here that I use for foot mobility and sensory awareness. But get a half a bucket of rocks that is easy enough for a younger kid to pick up that they have to carry either in front of them or on the side. That will automatically help or have them carry it behind their back. That challenges their balance and their core in different ways. And that way they're doing the same thing as the older kids, but it's a little bit more fun. They're like, okay, bring a bucket of water and don't spill it. Maybe don't do that one on the chair mat because that might not be fun to clean up, but you get the point. Reason number 4, stronger muscles helps to reduce your risk of overuse injuries. The stronger you are, the better tendon integrity you're going to have, and things are going to feel better. Most cheerleading injuries don't happen just in one accident. There's a lot that do. Most are repetitive over time. And they happen with things like repetitive handsprings and jumping and landing and repetitive, overhead lifting. So strength training helps to balance the body and help prevent common overuse injuries like knee pain, patellofemoral pain. Strengthening your hips is super important for that. And shoulder pain, like a tendonitis, making sure we have enough scapula, which is your shoulder blade stability, and that they can line up in the right position to help support their shoulder positioning overhead. Some great exercises to try for this for younger athletes, getting them into an obstacle course, like we talked about before, trying to mix up some different crawling. Along with the bear crawl and the baby crawl, like crawling forward, sideways, backwards. You could have them crawl over objects or crawl under objects. They have to maybe run to a limbo setup and they have to crawl underneath that. Or they have to go under it but not being on their feet. Maybe they get under and they roll under it, because rolling is an excellent exercise to stabilize the core also. You could add in some hopping. Maybe they have to hop over, cheer bags or megaphones that are on their side. If they're strong enough and they can clear the megaphone, go for it. You can use signs and have them, you know, slide a sign, with a hand in a high plank and kind of pushing it away. Anything you do to make it more playful and that they're having to change position, just like we want to see level changes in a cheer routine, seeing those level changes in a strength routine is really good for all the athletes because you're working your body in many different positions. So things like rolling and crawling, um, being down on one knee, crawling on one knee, pulling yourself forward that way, that can be a really big. Uh, I've seen people do that in choreography, and that's a great exercise to stabilize at the hamstrings. Make sure they're not scraping their knees all up because number one, that hurts, and number two, it doesn't look good in a uniform. Um, for the older athletes, and I think these are actually great for kids too. Pull-ups. Pull-ups are highly underrated. You need that stability through your shoulders with a pull-up and that grip strength. Whether, you can do it in different positions, um, but that's incredible for your core, for your hips by pulling your legs together, and for your back. It provides a lot of shoulder stability. If they can't do a pull-up yet, have them try an assisted pull-up. You can use a band to help do that. I prefer that they do the legs straight and they're really pulling their legs together because then they're activating their whole core. But like in my basement, I can't do the pull up with my legs straight because my ceiling is there. So if you're working out at home with a band, you might put your knee into it, and that would help to put your both knees in and you do a pull up that way, and that's going to actually give you some assistance. Just make sure they don't bump in their heads. Um, for little kids, like maybe you do a hang drill, or monkey bars. If you don't have those at home, take your kids to a playground on an off day, even in the winter. They have to climb stairs to get up and go down the slide. They have to walk on tight ropes. They have to do monkey bars. Like that's going to really help to build their general core strength and their stability, and it takes them through all kinds of ranges of motion to be able to help them. If it's super icy, please use your best judgment. I assume common sense for everyone. Another exercise that can help with stronger muscles for shoulder stability as well is things like a single arm dumbbell press. I like to do them on one knee so that really helps to challenge the core and the balance and your hips at the same time, and you're just pressing up overhead. You could do it standing at the same time. You could do double arm. Single arm challenges the core just a little bit differently. And then, like we talked about before, a carry in an overhead position, it really works that shoulder stability. We make sure that they're not hiking their shoulder to their ear, but they're packing their shoulder, keeping the elbow straight and maintaining that range of motion there while packing the shoulder with some weight can be helpful. If you haven't used kettlebells before, it's one of my highly recommended tools. Most people think of swings and cleans for the kettlebell, and those are excellent exercises, but carries are phenomenal to use with them. And you could do it in a rack carry where you're holding the bell, that bell will be resting against your forearm. Nobody likes it at first. It gets easier, it gets better. It's just like anything, you have to develop that sensitivity. But then to make it a little bit harder and work on that wrist strength, flip the bell upside down and carry it upside down. And that's really going to challenge the grip strength. It's going to challenge more stability because it's wobbly up there. And you could, if you could have kids walk with a ball on the knuckle of their hands, walk with their cell phone. Don't use a cell phone at practice, just kidding. But holding it here, that's going to challenge the stability as well. Just some different, so maybe the little kids are doing it holding a ball and your older kids are using a kettlebell. You can absolutely use a dumbbell. It just doesn't give you the same different stability. I have never seen anybody try a dumbbell on its like lengthwise. I'm sure people have done that. I've just never seen it. If it can stand in place and the dumbbell's not wobbling, and they're not going to drop it on their toes, I'm not going to say that that's necessarily wrong. Just might not. I might not prescribe that. But use your best judgment. That's the key thing there. So and we get to reason number 5, drum roll, please. It builds confidence and mental toughness. just like it's taken me a long time to get comfortable in front of a camera and talking. Strength training, the more you get into it, the more it changes your body. You feel stronger. It develops your body in a way that makes you walk more confidently. When you can get in and do a good at least 20-minute strength routine, you build up, you come out of it knowing how strong you were just completing that. You know that it's going to carry over. The repetition of it, the consistency of it, that's going to carry over into their toughness when they get on the mat. So it's really important. And that's more so than a stretching routine or going for a run. That strength training just builds a different confidence. And there's lots of ways you can do it to build power and strength that really, like, there's nothing better than, I can remember my first time training to hit a PR in my deadlift. And my goal was to hit twice my body weight. And I made it. I didn't do reps for it, but I probably could have if I kept going. I kind of bailed on that, but it was so amazing. Like I felt so strong being able to pick up something that was twice my body weight off the ground. And that's part of a norm that is important for us to be able to do to keep our back strong and to be able to keep our hips strong and to be able to do everything we want to do. Doesn't mean you go do that the first time. I trained for that for months and built up to that. And then went through a testing protocol where I warmed up my body and I warmed up to be able to get and do that PR. It takes a process, but the journey is excellent, by the way. Number one, and the outcome where you know how strong you are to achieve that goal it's amazing. Athletes who feel stronger are going to perform better and they're going to recover faster as well. And that will help them to not have as many setbacks. Some exercises to try for everyone, doing challenge-based workouts, like how long can you hold a plank? I don't love that exercise because personally I think it gets boring. I'd rather see how long can you hold a plank while singing a song, while holding a ball on your back. Maybe a plank that you're going, how long can you go from elbows up to a push-up? That way you're working some different muscles, but you're maintaining that. So I think the key thing is maintain the core and the function there. I don't see any benefit to doing a 2-minute plank. But for the challenge of it and the endurance, as long as they're maintaining and they're keeping their back neutral and their ribs down and their pelvis level, and they can maintain that, it's a good challenge. Kids love a challenge. Maybe they do handstand push-ups. How long can you hold a handstand? We had this competition between gymnasts and cheerleaders when I was coaching at Algonquin High School. And my cheerleader, one of my cheerleaders is a former gymnast, and she crushed it. And she just stayed up there for days. So you could do that as part of, a challenge as well within your team. You could do med ball slams or med ball tosses that you're doing a partner toss, and one person's down on their knee and the other person's standing and they're throwing and the person has to catch. It doesn't have to necessarily be a challenge, but they're working together to achieve that, and then they switch, obviously. You could work med ball tosses up overhead, so they have to catch it and land down in a low squat. Doing things, I think I just saw this on either Jeremy Frisch's, there's a couple of youth athletes that I'm seeing that they take a resistance band, to hold a resistance band around their waist and have the person pulling give resistance to the person who's walking forward, similar to a sled drag. It's a great way to get some resistance and get the kids working together in a team. You could, when the weather gets warm, have them do hill repeats together and they all run up and then they walk down together while singing a song. There's a lot of different ways that you could challenge them. The hill repeats help to really strengthen the sprints like that are a little bit more strength based. It will build endurance, but it's going to build your posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings. You get a lot more core into that. So I love finishing a workout with doing hill sprints. Something I'm going to need to add when the weather gets warmer here in Massachusetts. So hopefully that was helpful. There's 5 tips we've covered for strength training that will help to prevent injuries in cheerleading, from joint stability to absorbing impact to protecting the spine, reducing overuse injuries, and boosting confidence. hopefully that's helpful. There's a lot of different exercises in there. And in the webinar that's coming up on Thursday, I will go over some of those exercises, including them, and maybe some alternatives as well. So if you're listening to this, go now. The link is in the show notes. Sign up for the injury prevention and strength training webinar that's going to be held at 6 p.m. You'll get the replay if you sign up. And if you're listening to this later in the time, sign up. You'll also get the replay. The dates are just going to be different. And bear with me if you sign up just after the replay, because just after the webinar, because it'll take me a little bit to change the emails and all. So be patient. But if you sign up and you fill out the form, you'll automatically get those replays and get the whole kit and caboodle with that. And I'll also be breaking down how to implement strength training into a cheer workout. And that will help you whether you're in season or out of season. Stay tuned. A big announcement coming up. I'm also right after the webinar. I'm going to be doing a 5-day injury prevention challenge. That's for free as well. You'll get the link to sign up for that first if you are at the webinar, and then it'll be available on my Linktree page in my website. In that, I'm going to provide daily exercises, some different tips, motivational material. It's all by email. I will do some live videos. I'm going to be doing like this and sending them to you with some different exercises and different tips for the week. And the challenge is for you to show up to do the exercises and to post about them, and tag me. So easy peasy challenge. If you want more accountability than that, there's ways to sign up for that as well. And you just have to let me know. So stay tuned for that. I'll talk, that challenge actually will start on Monday, March 3rd, I believe it is. So that's coming up soon. Time in February always gets away from me. And then something even bigger is coming. I'm working on a membership program that will be your one-stop shop for injury prevention, education, strength workouts, mobility workouts, support, place to ask questions. And if you're interested, stay tuned, because I will post information about that shortly. That will come up after the conference, and there'll be a big discount for people that are coming to the webinar and signing up for the cheer challenge. The pricing will end shortly after that, so sign up and you'll get the discount. Let's go. If you're tired of searching and looking for material to help keep your athletes safe and looking for exercises to do, please, come join the webinar. Or come join the membership and the one-stop shop. This is for you. This will be really helpful to give you all that information all in one place. And there's going to be more details coming soon. So, phew, that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you found this helpful at all, please save this episode, share it to somebody who else will find these exercises beneficial. Send it to your cheer friends, your athletes, your parents, your coaches. Let's get the information out there. And also don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss another episode or more announcements that are coming up. As always, if you have any questions about anything, my email's in the show notes. You can access any of my free guides. I do have an injury prevention guide that's out on the website now. So you can access any of that. Those are all completely free. And if you have questions at any point, just send me an email or find me on Instagram. And I will be happy to answer any questions that you have and help you in any way that I can keep you and your cheerleaders moving forward. Don't forget, when in doubt, breathe out. Take life one step at a time. You can do anything you put your mind to, including hitting a PR. And as my friend Drew Keller has said, you're responsible for your own vibes. So go get the day.